The Korean DMZ, a place that is deadly for humans. What is going on there? Beyond the shrouded curtain, nature's rich tapestry unfolds throughout the year. In the DMZ, birds sing freely and enjoy peace. This place, forbidden for decades, is a rare place in the world, a refuge for endangered animals and plants. Countless lives share their love with each other. In spring without fail, new creatures begin to squirm. A land where divinely blessed nature breathes with agape. The only remaining DMZ in the world, the DMZ of the Korean Peninsula. People call this place the Land of Miracles. The Land of Miracles was created in June 1950 by the Korean War, caused by ideological differences between North and South Korea. Afterwards, a 2.5-mile wide and 155-mile long DMZ was created, cutting the Korean peninsula roughly in half. The Joint Security Area, or the JSA, at Panmunjom is a symbol of the division into North and South. North and South Korea are still technically at war, 60 years after the signing of the Armistice Agreement. For the troops at the front line, there is only eternal watchfulness. Spring comes to the DMZ. The life that has been hibernating everywhere throughout the valley slowly awakens. A caterpillar with blue horns. The larvae of the giant purple butterfly, the family of Nymphalidae, begins to break out of its chrysalis. It takes 11 days for it to emerge from its chrysalis. The beautiful figure of the giant purple butterfly is beginning to emerge. On the way to Mount Kumkang, after passing the civilian control line, Lanok fish inhabit the Dutayong Valley. With a height of 32 feet and a width of the water body from the surface is 10 feet, Dutian Valley is a treasure house for fish that live in the primary water supply lying in a deep valley between high mountains. The Lennox fish swim upstream, cutting through the swift current. They desperately swim upstream to spawn. Because Lennox are cold water fish, the upstream area of the Dutian Valley in the DMZ, with its clear and cold water, is the prime habitat for this freshwater fish. The Lennox return upstream each year, passing through barbed wire. The forest, untouched by humanity, is dense throughout all 4 seasons. Amongst the fallen dead trees, nests made of dry grass are common. This is the nest of the vinous-throated parrotbill. In July, the breeding season for the vinous-throated parrotbill, a time when the birds are busy nurturing their young. To keep her nest clean, the mother bird eats her chicks' droppings. The chicks, who were once crying loudly for food, are now satiated and quiet. A rainy day is a crisis for the mother bird. The birds are very worried about the loss of their nest or that their fledglings might be in danger. An invisible fence, the northern limit line in the West Sea of the Korean Peninsula. Guji Island, an island of birds in the West Sea. In May, the island, which still bears the scars of the Korean War, is crowded with summer birds. The first sojourners on the island are black-tailed gulls and cormorants. Each year, the cormorants are the first to nest on Guji Island. Birds have cultivated a garden of life in the midst of a man-made military confrontation. There is also a bird boasting of exceptionally elegant look, a black-faced spoonbill. The black-faced spoonbill, a rare bird, has a black face and a spatula-shaped beak. The spoonbill's mating ritual begins with courtship behavior. The black-faced spoonbills have mated successfully. Without external interference, Guji Island is their biggest nesting ground. Black-faced spoonbills lay a single clutch of 3 or 4 eggs and raise their chicks for 50 days. After mating, they build a nest by collecting dry branches. There is fierce competition amongst the hundreds of summer birds for a nesting place. Located at the tip of the northern limit line, Benyang Island. A secluded island which can be reached in half a day by sea. Benyang Island is the 14th largest island in South Korea and the closest to North Korea. Above what has been named the Dragon's Teeth, which prevents the approach of enemy ships, beautiful coastal scenery unfolds. This part of the West Sea DMZ is a place where tension and peace coexist and is dominated by spotted seals. These seals, whose normal habitat is the Arctic, come to Benyang Island, located at a latitude of only 38 degrees north. Because there is abundant food that the seals like to eat, such as soft-shell clams, greenlings, and other fish. Since the seals breathe air, they can dive for a maximum of 5 minutes. The seals are resting, after exerting all their strength to capture prey. They often just rest while enjoying a swim, because they can control their breathing while they sleep, submerged. The seals wait for low tide, when the water recedes, so they can rest. The rocks are a resting place for the seals. The seal rocks are being claimed by the seals according to rank. With all of them vying for one cramped space, a fight cannot be avoided. The young seals that could not get a spot try to rest on small rocks, but they cannot stay there for long. For the seals whose numbers have been declining worldwide, the West Sea DMZ, a deadly place for humans, is their best habitat for survival. The northernmost tip of the West Sea Island was a place ravaged by the horrors of war. But it has now become a paradise for birds. New life springs forth everywhere on the island. The number of bird families on Guji Island has been increasing. The chicks are waiting for their mother to bring food. The most important condition for raising these chicks is sufficient food. The West Sea and nearby tidal flats are an abundant source of food. The chicks are all clamoring to be the first to eat. It is an instinct of birds to nurture their chicks for the conservation of the species. The fledglings of the black-tailed gull have grown somewhat already and show an interest in the world outside the nest. But they are still too young to be independent. The mother bird stays close to her fledglings. Since there are many different species on the small island, there is often rivalry between birds protecting their offspring, even though they are the same species. While the mother bird was out finding food, the chicks who were left alone were in trouble. The mother black-tailed gull will not hesitate to attack when their baby birds are threatened. This black-tailed gull that lost its mother is wounded. The wounded chick falls off a cliff when it tries to flee. He might die. The birds have to struggle for survival. The young birds who survive will revisit the island the following year. The Korean peninsula is still locked in the Cold War struggle. Her history of tragedy has not yet ended. The land that was devastated by the war a half-century ago has changed into a land of life. The DMZ is a land that shows the miraculous resilience of nature. The water deer enjoy a leisurely bath by a barbed wire fence. They enjoy peace in this isolated region. Even though this place seems dangerous to humans, the tension of this place may even be familiar to the water deer with regard to the past. In the DMZ, where 1 million landmines are buried, there is a brave bird who is nesting in the minefield. A kingfisher. The flowing pools of water are a hunting ground for the kingfisher. When a suitable fish is found, the bird dives into the water quickly. After several attempts, his hunt met a successful end. Sometimes, even though it took several attempts to catch, the kingfisher accidentally loses his prey when he strikes the fish on a branch to knock it out. This time it seems he is successful. The mother bird is heading to her nest to feed her chicks who are waiting for food. 5 chicks are crying loudly, but there is only enough food for one. The chick at the front of the nest receives the food. While the mother bird goes out to find food, her fledglings toss their droppings out of the nest. They are keeping the nest clean. In their small nest, they have their own rules. The kingfisher pair is busy all day long, working to satisfy the healthy appetites of their babies. The kingfisher family lives together in this dangerous neighborhood called the DMZ. There are many wetlands in the western DMZ near the Han and Imjin rivers. The wetlands unfold around Chopyeong Island. The Songdong wetland area, where the rivers and mountains meet the sea, is an area that consists of various ecological terrains. Changhang Swamp is a place where marine ecology and freshwater ecology coexist. Changhang Swamp is called the mangrove forests of South Korea because of these huge colonies of willow trees. A 5-mile-wide section of the wetland is covered with willow tree forest. In Changhang Swamp, there are Dahan's shore crabs who live symbiotically with the willow trees. But this spring, not many Dahan's shore crabs can be seen due to the drought. Sometimes lying dried up, these dead Dahan shore crabs can be observed. The Dahan shore crabs that survive the long drought welcome the rain. The willow tree forest is peaceful after the rain. Waterways course through the forest. Now that the swamp is wet, it is the world of the Dahan's shore crab. Crabs gather at the water's edge like fish seeking for water. The Dahan shore crabs cannot survive without water. The burrows made by the crab help supply moisture and oxygen to the willow tree roots. And the leaves of the willow tree are excellent food for the crabs. The Dahan shore crab's droppings are nutrients for the willows. Since there is not sufficient organisms to decompose the willow leaves, crabs and the willows live in a symbiotic relationship. The land ruined during the Korean War has become fertile soil in which very good rice can be cultivated. In Pachu City, Gyeonggi-do, within the DMZ border area, irrigation paddies for rice fields can be seen everywhere. They are inhabited by a variety of aquatic plants. These irrigation ponds are an important ecological niche in the western portion of the DMZ. Rooted plants such as willow trees, nettles, and knotgrass inhabit the inland wetlands. What about the world beneath the water? Groups of rice fish make silver waves in the water between the roots of the plants. Dragonfly larvae, natural enemies for the rice fish, have now appeared. This apex predator without enemies in the pond has special hunting skills. Dragonfly larvae breathe through gills that create a spectacular jet propulsion that allows them to move quickly through the water. Another secret weapon of this unassailable predator is their ability to transform themselves rapidly, extending their form outward in order to catch distant fish. This larvae is a source of terror for the rice fish. This one caught the rice fish successfully. When they hunt fish, they use pincers in their lower jaws to secure their prey and then use their large upper jaws to cut and crush their prey. A dragonfly larvae becomes an adult after spending 120 days in the water. They molt several times in a cycle. After 30 minutes, the adult dragonfly appears. Many lives begin and end in the ponds. The irrigation ponds are one core ecosystem of the DMZ. There are over 80 ponds just in the DMZ border area alone near Paju City. There are 3 to 4 ponds in each Segok village, Hemaru village, and the Unification village. Irrigation ponds are fountains of life in the DMZ. In the evening, the floodlights light up the barbed wire fences in the DMZ like a signal fire. In the evening, nocturnal animals begin to stir, while other creatures are sleeping. The black-striped field mice have come out to feed. Many insects are attracted to these floodlights. Moths are such an easy prey for the black-striped field mouse. Viper snakes, the natural enemies of these mice, are on the hunt. Snakes have heat-sensing organs in both cheeks, so it is easy for them to find warm-blooded mammals. The black-striped field mouse is hiding from a snake. The nighttime chase of the mouse by the snake has begun. The mouse thought he was safe. snake did not miss his chance. The snake uses his fangs to inject poison. He waits until the poison spreads throughout the entire body of his prey. When the prey is dead, he swallows it, head first. The world of nature in the DMZ can be cruel. The road toward the northernmost extreme of the southern boundary of the DMZ. The eastern front of the DMZ is a mountain range. The Ojokgyo area in Hwacheong-gun, Gangwon-do, where frontline troops are stationed. Tension is in the air as the soldiers stand guard. At 1,970 feet above sea level, we met Garl on the mountain cliffs. Garl used to be as common as rabbits, but their numbers have decreased, so that they are now an endangered species. A young Garl born last spring has grown big enough to engage in a turf war. To eat the tree leaves and sedges, the Garl often come all the way down to the Ojokgyo outpost. Perhaps because they have spent so much time with soldiers, the Garl are not afraid of people. A place where one can see the beauty of all four seasons on the Korean peninsula. It is approaching late autumn in the DMZ. The Binghae Riffle located in Yeoncheon-gun, Gyeonggi-do. The central civilian control is located here, in the wide plains along the Imjin River. It is a fertile land known as a growing region for koic seed, also known as Chinese pearl barley. This year is a good harvest year in the DMZ. Some of the whole grains are left behind for the birds who come here to winter. The DMZ is a land where birds and humans coexist. A group dance of the white-fronted goose. A winter bird is one of the grandest sights. These geese and cranes breed in Siberia and migrate to the areas around Yongchon-gun and Paju City in Gyeonggi-do for the winter. Among the birds that fill the winter sky, in the DMZ, the cinereous vulture cannot be forgotten. Each year, over 200 cinereous vultures fly into the DMZ to spend the winter after breeding in the grasslands of Mongolia. Even though they are called the kings of the sky, these vultures do not have the ability to hunt like other raptors. They only eat dead animals. Competition for food is fierce, since they are hungry from their long migration. The beauty among the migratory birds that winter in the DMZ is the white-naped crane. Over 1,000 white-naped cranes are visiting the Chonwon Plains in Gangwon-do this year. White-naped cranes migrate in family units. This family flies into the DMZ for the first time. They migrate to the DMZ because fallen grain is abundant in the wide plains and there is little human encroachment. The DMZ, where many creatures share life and death, joy and sorrow. Here again, Gorel are very busy preparing for the winter. They have grown thick coats of hair, and they ate well during the summer, gaining enough weight to spend the winter on the mountain. Late fall, in November, is the breeding season for the Gorel. The male Gorel hover around the females. The breeding season, when the males seek females, is nature's providence. After several attempts at courtship, a pair of Gorel is born. They've mated successfully. The male Gorel is alert for other males who might try to mate with his female. He's not afraid to fight with other male Gorel to protect his female. In the wild, only a winner can find a mate. The pair mates more than 10 times during the day. After a gestation period of 150 days, the family will grow in the early Ojokyo summer. The eastern part of the southern limit line of the DMZ. The East Sea salmon diligently toil their way towards a valley. The salmon spend most of their lives in the sea, but return to Myeongpa Creek at the end of a 12,400-mile journey. They are on their way to Myeongpa Creek, the hometown of the salmon. They just managed to safely pass an invisible fence at the coast. The creek is noted for rare fish, salmon and sweet fish, and for its pure water. During the spawning season, the body of the salmon is reddish in color. The salmon, with a rounded snout, is the female, and the one with the sharp snout is the male. Spawning is the most important moment in the life of the salmon. To make a good nest for the female salmon, she energetically starts excavating a shallow depression. Once she has built her nest, the competition between the male salmon becomes more intense. They are often wounded in the course of their intense struggles. To perpetuate the species is an instinct and a privilege for all creatures. The male salmon begins to stimulate the female. When the female lays her eggs, the male salmon will deposit his sperm on her eggs. Most salmon die after spawning without waiting for the eggs to hatch. Aquatic insects cluster around the dead fish. They will be food for the young salmon. In the DMZ, the 4 seasons are varied. The winter has arrived and the ground is frozen. It is a land without human footprints. A snowy scene in the DMZ is a source of wonder. The Korean peninsula remains in a state of armistice. The DMZ is filled with the spirit of the Cold War. The soldiers cannot lower their guard even for a moment. A raccoon dog looking for food has been found by the reconnaissance party. The snowy winter is a tough season for wildlife. The cranes are also beginning to look for food. The birds are able to find food because the swift currents of the Bengay Riffle do not freeze, even at temperatures of -4 degrees Fahrenheit. The manner in which they walk on the ice looks like acrobatics. There was no success finding fallen grain in the snow-covered rice fields. It is a season to endure cold and hunger. They stand on only 1 foot to try to maintain their body temperature. The flags of South Korea and North Korea face each other here. Daesung village is the only South Korean village located inside the DMZ. Each year, the people of the Daesung village remember to scatter grain for the migratory birds. 1,500 white-naped cranes are visiting the DMZ again this year. The birds remember flying with their parents in order to winter in the DMZ. That memory, in turn, is passed on to the next generation with a human-like warmth and care. A land where humanity and nature coexist. The DMZ. The birds flying freely over the barbed wire fences between south and north have already achieved unity. The Korean tragedy has not ended. Still, after a half-century of bitter division, the DMZ has become the land of miracles. From here, the habitual conflict between human beings is barely visible. Even in Mother Nature's seemingly cruel fight to survive, it is still a holy land of peace.